to read the question, understand what is required in the question, and then you are expected to be able to code the question to get the required output. So that is the process that is required when you are solving any problem. In this problem, we're inputting the employee's salary. We have to find the tax, which is 10% of the salary. We have to find the UIF, which is 8% of the salary. We have to work out total deductions. So I have to add up the tax, I have to add up the UIF, and I then have to work out the take-home salary, which is my total salary that was input minus the total deductions. And finally, I need to output. That's what's required in my program. So let's start coding. Let's code this program. Input the employee's salary. Okay, so let's create a variable called salary equals, and because it's a money value, I want to keep it of type float, and I'm going to say input and enter the employee's salary. So there we are. I'm getting the employee's salary, but we know that input always gives us a string. Whenever you use the input statement, it gives us a string. We are taking the string and converting it into a float to make it into a value that can accept a point in it, a real number, and I can now do calculations on that. So this first part that required the input is done. Let's look at what is in line 2. Line 2 is talking about find the tax, which is 10%. So let's do that. Tax is equal to 10%. You must know percentages and how to work out percentages. So tax 10% is 10 divided by 100. That's what 10% is. 10 divided by 100. So it's 10% of what? Of means times. This is times. 10% of the salary. So where do I have the salary stored? I have it stored in a variable called sal. So that is the tax. 10%, which is 10 divided by 100 times the salary that we have just input. I've done the tax part. Now let's look at the UIF. Very similar. And here it is 8%. So let's create a variable called UIF, which is 8%. And 8% is 8 divided by 100 times salary. That's what the question says. 8% of the salary. So these are the two calculations that I've done. I'm just going to leave a blank line so you can see the input and you can see the process with the calculations. Then if you look at line 3, it says calculate the total deductions. So deductions equals, it's the tax that I just worked out plus the UIF. That will give me the total. This is the total amount that I have to pay. It's taken out of my salary. So when I earn a salary, I have to pay towards tax. I've got to pay towards UIF, and there's many other deductions. But this program only had 2 deductions that we were working with. So after working out the 2 deductions, I've now added them up and I got a total. And I'm storing that total in a placeholder called deductions. So calculate the total deductions that has been done and the take-home salary. Take-home salary is the amount that the employee gets in his bank account. That's how much money he eventually gets after the deductions have been taken out. So let's call this variable take home. And the take home is the salary, right? See the salary that we've input? The take home is that salary minus the total deductions, which is stored in the variable deductions. So it's salary minus deductions. There we are. Now, there's no need for me to say, sometimes you see students do this. They say salary minus tax minus UIF. It's not wrong because your deductions are tax and UIF, but in line 10, I already worked out the total deductions. I've got the total in line 10. So all I need to do is use the variable where it is stored in. So the variable where it is stored is in the variable deductions. So that's what I'm going to make use of, right? Because line 10, that's the whole idea of line 10. It's calculating the total. So from line 8 to line 11, that's my process. Those are my calculations that the question wanted me to do. Right? Now, if I go back to the question, I see in line 4, it tells me to output the tax. Do I have the tax? Yes, line 8 has the tax. Output the UIF. Do I have that? Line 9 has the UIF. Do I have the total deductions? Line 10 has the total deductions. And do I have the take-home salary? Line 11 has that. So I've got everything that I need. So let's leave a blank line. This is now my output. And I'm going to print whatever the question wants me to print. And I'm going to print messages as well. The tax is, and nice to put a colon to just separate it. It's not compulsory. It's nice to have. And plus, and I want to print the variable tax. But remember that I've got a string and tax is a number. So I have to use str to convert tax into a string. Right? So there's my tax. I convert that into a string and I join it. The plus joins it to the message the tax is. Let's do the next one. Print the UIF is plus str UIF. Right? Notice my matching brackets. I've got in the print, I've got an opening bracket. After str, I've got another opening bracket, which means there are two opening brackets. And in the end, I've got two closing brackets. Similarly, in line 6 for the input, make sure your number of opening brackets and your number of closing brackets match. Otherwise, you'll get an error. Print, I need to print the total deductions. Message. Total deductions. And put a plus, and I've got a variable called deductions. So just use that variable, deductions. Finally, print the take home salary is, and where is that stored? It's stored in a variable called take home. There we are. Remember that in my print statement, I've got take home, but take home is my message. And take home here is my variable, which is referring to the variable in line 11. So don't confuse your message that the user is going to see with the variable that we are using in our program. Don't feel because I got tax in my message in line 13, my variable name is tax. In line 14, in my message, I've got UIF, my variable name is UIF. That's just happens the way I've written the program. But understand the difference between the message and the variable. The message is what the user is going to see when the print executes, and the variable is what is inside of it when the program runs. So guys, I'm ready to give this a run. So let's click on the run button. I'm just going to make this a little bigger. Enter the employee's salary. That's coming from line 6. Line 6. And I'm going to enter 5,000. You will notice that as I type, it's right next to the Y in salary. So what I should have done, and I'm actually going to stop my program. I'm going to stop my program. And it's nice to have a semicolon here and leave a space. Right? So when I run it, look at the difference. The cursor is not flashing right next to salary. So it just is a better user experience. Remember, you are writing the program for somebody else to use. So the user enters an amount of 5,000. I press enter. And guess what? I've calculated the tax and the UIF, and I'm getting some error. I'm getting some error when it says, if you read it very carefully, right? If you read it very carefully, it says print total deductions, and it's giving me an error by deductions. And read the mistake, read the error that's given, because these are going to help me. So it says can't convert float to string. And when I look at deductions, deductions is float and my message is string. So immediately I forgot to put an str. You probably realized that as I was typing, but I thought I'd make a deliberate mistake so that you can see how these errors come up. So that has been corrected, but while I'm at it, I also know the mistake was made for take home. So let's do that for take home and put down str. And don't just put the str like that and leave it like that, because there's one bracket missing at the end. Let's give it a try with the missing bracket and let's see what happens, right? Give it a run. It says syntax error, unexpected end of file parsing. So that syntax error it is picking up. That syntax error, there's something wrong with the grammar. And that grammar here, I'm missing a bracket. My program does not even run. Okay. So now I've corrected that. Let's give it a run. There we are. Enter the employee's salary. 5,000. I press enter and there we are. The tax is 500. The UIF is 400. The total deductions is 900. That's correct. 500 plus 400 is 900. The take-home salary is 4,100. So 5,000 minus 900 is 4,100. So this program, I am very happy with it. I'm convinced that it works, it's correct, and I know that I've answered the question the way it is supposed to be answered.